Hey, welcome to Old Ass Movie Reviews. I'm Scott. There's Dave over here. Hey, have we got a treat? Not really. For you today. We decided to take it back to some older movies and look for something bad. We did find something. It's
That'll
bad.
show you.
Yeah, we did it. Dave, good job. Good job on The Magnetic Monster from 1950, what?
Was it 56, 54, 56?
Something like that. From the 50s. It is before space travel. Because there is a comment made that we don't have rockets strong enough to launch this thing out of the atmosphere. And I'm like,
because one of the guys talks about we can get it off the planet, and somebody's like, we don't have rockets that strong, and I'm like, yeah, you do. It's called an intercontinental ballistic missile. You hadn't even back then, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, we're not going to talk about that. So Magnetic Monster is definitely not a great movie. I have seen this movie before, not this particular one, but this story.
Oh, yeah.
How many times have we had the creature at the end have to be overfed or whatever to just kill itself, to feed on itself?
The thing that got me is I never understood why they thought it was a creature.
I know.
Like why it was, it's doubling in size every time it eats something. And I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't make it a creature. It was radiation and it was expanding.
Yes. It was science. And here's what's
science.
Science.
Follow the science.
Here's something that's kind of cool about this movie. Let's let our listeners know. First off, before we get into this hellhole of a movie, thank you for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends. Appreciate all the new listens we get, and just get the word. Leave us a review and everything. But this movie, you want to give a synopsis, Dave?
Not really.
Okay.
This real quick. This movie is there's Office of Scientific. What was it called? Investigation.
OSI, yeah.
The OSI, Office of Scientific Investigation. Very 50s sounding
they had
title.
Amen.
And the men that I was gonna say the men that are in it are the A-men, not FBI, not G-men, but A-men, because they hunt down atoms or something.
Okay, let me hold right there. This movie is definitely a product of its time. We are at the atomic age in this country. We had just annihilated 2 cities in Japan with an atomic weapon. Testing is still going on strong, and I am convinced that somebody said, we've got some beautiful footage of an underwater atomic explosion. Let's make a movie based around that. Let's start with that explosion and go backwards. And you're going to have a hard time convincing me that's not what happened.
And we've got some footage of planes refueling.
Yes, lots of fuel.
I felt like I was watching an Ed Wood movie for sure.
I felt that too with that footage.
But what happens is somehow, some way, some scientist that you've not been introduced yet for like the first 15, 20 minutes of this movie somehow created a new type of radiation. It was, what did he call it? I forgot. Paranormal radiation. It's a made-up name radiation.
Forgive me for a second, though. I do have to give a disclaimer. At some point, I fell asleep, and I did not have the energy to rewind. So I've missed parts of this movie, but I don't think I really did.
Didn't matter.
So I'm just saying.
Doesn't matter.
This is the first one to put me to sleep, everybody. This is the first one to do
it. Anyway, figure out this is the whole big thing. If anything weird happens, you're supposed to call the OSI. For whatever reason, you're supposed to call them if there's radiation problem. Well, what happens is there's a hardware store. Yes, this all takes place in a hardware store in the very beginning. And for some unknown reason, everything gets magnetized in the hardware store.
Well, that boss was a dick.
Yeah, the boss was a jerk. I would have left. I'd have been like, nah,
Yeah,
dude,
like,
I
come
ain't
on,
got time
give
for
me a
this today.
fucking break.
But all the clocks have stopped. The washer and dryer doors are opening and closing for no
The
apparent
lawnmowers
reason.
are going
The
around.
lawnmower goes after that chick in
Oh,
the
I
skirt.
almost took her out.
Almost, yeah, almost. No, oof. That could have ruined her day.
Yeah.
And it was one of those old style with
Yeah.
just the propeller blades on the outside. But this guy calls a government agency, and somebody's trying to put him off. Like, man, we don't. What? Why are you calling us? Well, everything's magnetized, and the guy that's in charge of the agency instantly says, "Well, I'll send somebody down right away." And he gets his best scientist to get his sidekick to go down to this hardware store somewhere in Washington, D.C. The instant they walk in, they've got the radiation detector. And
Yeah,
it's
Geiger
going
counter.
off,
Yeah.
and they instantly know kind of what the problem is right away. They've
Yeah.
already deduced that there's radiation in here before the Geiger counter, I think, is even turned
Yeah.
on, just simply by things being magnetized. And then the guy, oh, it hurts. My logic sensors went off. They burnt out on this movie. Everything's magnetized in the store. So they're like, well, we have to find out where the magnetism is coming from and where the radiation is coming from. So for whatever reason, the guy holds the detector up in the air and he figures out, okay, the radiation's up there. So instead of just going upstairs,
I
and
know,
looking
right?
around,
I was like, what?
the guy grabs a bag of washers that haven't been magnetized yet, and he can pour them in his hand or on a piece of paper that haven't been magnetized yet. But when he throws them up in the air, they all fly to the ceiling, which was a nice, simple effect, I thought.
I thought it was well done.
Yeah, well done.
Easy, but it worked.
I applaud that 1956 special effect.
Yeah.
So they stick to the ceiling, and so they instantly know there's some kind of paramagnetic radiation going on, which, okay. The guy calls his boss. The boss tells him, well, go in there and investigate it. They find a dead body. They somehow manage to figure out where the radiation thing has been taken to because it's not in the room anymore that they went to. They find this doctor. The doctor's dying. And trust me, folks, you're following this movie as much as I'm telling you about it. This is exactly how it happens. Find an old guy on a plane, somehow magically figure out what plane he's on.
Yeah.
Get the radiation.
Oh, hold on a
Radiation
second.
is
Hold
okay.
on.
Go ahead.
When they were looking to find out where he was, this is really cool. I didn't know this existed. I didn't know this was really a thing.
The machine.
The machine that gave
forgot
out
about that.
insurance policies before
Right.
you took a flight. Think
Right.
about that a minute. Oh, I need a life insurance policy before I get on this plane. But it was this is
They
what's
used
cool.
to do it.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
what's really cool. In the 50s, everything is built solid. My whole kitchen is 1950s. This stuff
And
is
this shit
solid.
wasn't falling apart.
It's steel. So here's this big steel teletype machine that kicks out insurance policies.
Yeah.
I just thought that was, wow, that's actually really fucking cool.
Yeah. And then that's what it is. They take the detector, and I still don't know how they figured out what plane he was on, but they figured out that somebody.
Well, they were scanning the paper. It's like, oh, this one
they
reads
scan the
more.
paper, and the damn radiation sensor goes off big time, and the poor sap that's standing there is left standing there with his super radioactive paper.
Yeah.
Everybody just walks away.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Do I touch that? Bob, do I touch this? I don't know what's going on. Anyway, somehow they get the radiation. They figure out that the radiation is growing. And at one point, this is what kills me. At one point, they're like, we think we're watching, he says something to the effect of, we think we're watching the birth of a universe, or this is how the universe was conceived, and this is like their Big Bang. Like they're coming up with the Big Bang Theory. And it's funny because I'm sitting there watching that, and then at the end of the movie, when all is said and done, and they save the world, I'm like, did they just destroy a universe? Because I'm like, wait a minute, you guys are a bunch of genocidal maniacs.
There's a lot that doesn't make sense in this movie. There's a lot that's
Tell me which
narrated.
thing that you saw. That didn't make sense.
Yeah, and see, I missed part of it, but this is a short movie, but feels very long.
It's like an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah, it feels more like 3 hours and 15 minutes.
There was, I don't know if you caught it. I'm going to interrupt you real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Kathleen Freeman was the secretary. She was a big-time character actress.
She looked very familiar because I saw her. I was like, "Who is that?"
A lot of television series, a lot of movies, and she just always looked the same. Like I seen her, and Kat and I looked at each other like, "What the?" That woman looks the exact same she did in the 70s and 80s when we saw her in movies. Like she didn't change. But that was like one of my first notes. I just thought that was very interesting that she that she was there. I just can't get over the name of the government branch, Office of Scientific Investigation.
Yeah. How about their supercomputer named the Maniac?
The Maniac computer.
Using punch cards. This thing is the size of a small building, and they're feeding cards, and it just still blows my mind that's how these computers came about, and they're waiting and they're reading it on a little teletype.
I'm old enough to remember seeing computers like that, like the cards.
Oh, the cards we had,
the old punch cards, yeah.
The cards we used in the Air Force in the 80s. I'm just gonna put it out there.
Yeah, like. All the shit we got now, folks, that was science fiction. Don't.
Yeah, it's all science fiction right now. It's
all
amazing.
Science fiction
what we're doing
right
is so science fiction.
This is Star Trek.
Yes.
What we're doing right now. This was Star Trek. Oh yeah, I wrote the note about why weren't the tacks magnetized already? The ones that he threw up in the ceiling.
He specifically wanted us some tacks.
Paramagnetism is what they were calling this. Paramagnetism. I was going to look that word up just to see if it was a real word. I decided not to because I'm just going to say it's not a real word. Paramagnetism. Oh, the government. Were you awake for the government shoot to kill order over magnetism?
Wait, no.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Shoot to kill order over magnetism in this town, the town that they were in. It was like
over magnetism.
Over magnetism, they were shutting down the town. They were getting everybody. You had to stay indoors. If you came out, we were going to shoot to kill you. And I'm like, over magnets?
Yeah.
You guys, you don't even know what's going on yet. You're going to start shooting people.
It was. Yeah.
The town, and here's the funny thing. I don't hear anybody ever talk about racism because this order was given in a town with nothing but white people and magnets. So they didn't give a fuck who you were. They were going to shoot your ass.
Over fucking magnets.
Over magnets. No magnet was safe in that goddamn town.
Wow.
It's such a horrible bit of writing.
There's a lot of horrible writing.
I'm not lying about this, folks. If you watch it, that's the one that happened.
And then you've got the running joke that the main character thinks his wife is too skinny.
Yeah. Which took me halfway through the movie to realize she was pregnant.
Yeah. I figured that out right about
her being too skinny while she was pregnant. Yeah. I'm like, dude, what?
So then he asked the receptionist there the same question, like, dude. Yeah. She's like, I've never been skinny.
Dude, man, relax.
Yeah.
But the computers, the sound sounded like a dial-up.
Yes, it did. And the narration even mentioned that.
Piper.
Like some beast or something.
Yeah. I'm just going through my notes real quick because this movie, it's not a painful movie to watch. Actually, let me go through the notes, and then I want to say something absolutely positive about this movie.
It ended?
Talking. Were you awake? Were you awake when the taxi car driver had to call because his engine stopped?
Yes.
Now, here's the thing. His engine stopped. The guy with the radiation is on a plane, but it hasn't stopped. Nothing else has stopped in this city, in this town. But this guy's car stopped.
Yeah.
He's the only one and the Office of Scientific Investigation went there. They went there to investigate because the guy's car stalled.
Let me say something about this movie. It's a movie. It got made, but I think
Yes, it did.
it plays like a student film. A
junior high student film.
Yeah, a high school, elementary school student film. Because the leaps of logic and so much missing stuff. The fact that most of the movie is narrated just to explain what the hell's going on.
I know. I think I got a note in here somewhere with the narration.
Yeah. So
God, it hurt.
I'll let you continue with your notes before I come back in. I do have a positive thing to say besides something snarky.
I was just going to say, when they're talking to the guy with the taxi, because he's got to go to a payphone. Now, for those of you that are too young to remember payphones, they were places where you went and stood and put a dime in the phone and dialed.
A dime? Oh, we go way back.
Probably a nickel back when this movie was made.
Oh, if even that.
But they're in the office. The lady gives them a call. They're listening to the call over the hot box for whatever reason. And the guy says, well, put the call into the office. And instead of just talking into the box, because the box is sitting on the desk, it's basically a speaker. It's a two-way speaker, evidently, because he's been talking to the secretary through the whole freaking movie. But then the guy picks up the phone receiver and starts talking into it. And you can still hear the guy through the box. And I'm like, why is he talking on the goddamn receiver?
I didn't catch that, but now that you say that, it's like, yeah, why would you?
Like, why is he doing that?
Damn.
Oh, the engine. Yeah, here it is on the plane. The engine can quit anytime. Anytime. And then they quit. Really, Bob? When they're on the plane and the guy's like, the co-pilot is talking to the pilot. He says, they say the engine can quit at any time. And then the engine stops. And I'm just thinking the one guy's looking over at the other pilot like, really, Bob? Did you have to say it? What do you mean? Why do you say things like that?
I don't know where this doctor was going with this stuff.
But he didn't give a fuck who he killed or who he irradiated.
No, and that's just it. He wouldn't have, why would, there's so much wrong with this. Go on.
That right there. Once again, a scientist in a movie that doing something because he can, not because he should. He never asked the question. That old scientist
seems to happen a lot.
Yeah. Right here. It took me a while to figure out the wife was pregnant. Like halfway through this movie, I thought he was just insulting his wife.
Thought he was
and
being
then you come to find out she's pregnant. And it's like, oh, he's worried because she's not gaining weight. I get it.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. And then the wife is just being ha ha ha. It's so funny. The best. There was one really good line in this movie. When the wife is talking to the husband and he's taking a day off, he's like, well, we did this yesterday. I was all over town. Can't believe I worked so hard. And she looks at him and she says, they'll give you a medal, but they'll never give you a raise.
Yeah, I missed that.
And I was like, holy crap, what a great line. For this movie, that was a great line. I'm going to steal that line one day because that was spot on for that character.
Yeah.
That was like the only thing that made that character was the line that his wife tells him.
Yep.
The base when he walks in and it's all empty. It's like, that looks like the Men in Black space.
It sure as fuck did.
It did. And then they talk about a cyclotron. And I want to say that might be real. That might be a real thing. I haven't looked it up, but that sounds real. The simple, interesting effects when they're looking through the monitor, that was pretty cool.
It was.
I know it was like sparklers and stuff, and it was going in reverse and forward and reverse and doing stuff. But that was kind of a neat little effect. It worked for the really crappy movie.
It did work. I do applaud him for that. The design of the base, the under the ocean base, was actually, I thought it was pretty cool. I love the little train car they're in.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, somebody was doing some thinking. This is actually kind of neat that you would have this underground facility.
Well, the good thing is the guy even says it was a mine. It was like the deepest mine in Canada, and that's where they went because if something happened to their cyclotron or megalotron or whatever the hell it is, a tron, if it blew up, they wanted that water to just bam come down and put it all out. And I was like, well, that's actually pretty good thinking. Somebody read a book that wrote this movie script.
So anyway, let's get to where this you got more?
I got more. I told you I took notes.
Keep going.
We ain't done yet.
Oh my God.
I'm reiterating this right here. The computer programmer. Did you see the computer programmer when they did all their tests and now they're like, okay, we got to call this into the Maniac machine to be put in. The guy's literally, he's got a headset on, he's on a phone with whoever, and he's typing, and then you just see how big that freaking computer is. And this is supposed to be high tech back in the day, folks.
Yeah.
This thing went on for, like you said, like a half a mile.
It was big.
It was huge. This thing was built of steel. And wire and tubes. Tubes
totally amazing. Totally amazing.
But what was funny is the narration and the use of stock footage just cracked me up. The Deltatron is what the thing was called in Canada. Did you catch the little Nazi symbolism in this movie?
Yes, I did in that thing.
Tell me what you
pushed.
think. Yes, thank you for catching that.
Was like, why is that there? What the fuck is that?
What's insane? There is literally an iron cross on the computer equipment that is like super high tech, and I'm like, who the hell put? Well, they knew all the Nazi scientists were working for America at the time.
True.
America, Russia, and Canada. That was it. That's where all the Nazis went.
I did question that. I saw that. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I saw that and I just started cracking up. But here's the funny thing. The general, that's like a 3-star general. He's the only one that kind of had a brain out of all the military guys. He was actually saying some common sense, like, we got to take this thing up to Canada. They got a machine there.
Yeah. That
we can feed it and it'll starve, like you're saying. You know, he's come up with this plan. But then he says, what did you... He's talking about the computer, and he doesn't call it a computer. He calls it a giant brain machine.
I missed that. Oh, that is beautiful.
He calls it a giant brain machine.
A giant brain machine. Well, you know, that's probably what some people probably thought. It's a
giant
brain machine.
He's like, well, we can use that big giant brain machine of yours. And he wasn't saying it as a smart ass. That's what
that's something I would say now, but then it was probably, the giant brain machine.
He throws the switch on that big Deltatron, Delectratron, whatever the hell it was called. And all the people, instead of being in another room behind lead shielding, they're like right at the foot of this thing. He's like, everybody get back. I'm turning it on. Everybody get back. And everybody takes 2 steps back and just looks at it. Yeah. There's lights. There's lightning coming up.
Yeah, they didn't go far. Crazy.
Nobody cared.
No.
I'm Canadian in the 50s. I have nothing to live for.
Hey.
I'm sorry, Canada.
No, they're sorry. They'll be here to apologize soon. Don't worry.
And then they're like, whenever he's like, we've got 7 minutes. 7 minutes. That wasn't 7 minutes, Bob. You just threw the goddamn switch. Nobody was even out of the goddamn room yet. He just throws the switch.
Let me get to a part of it because this is one of the issues I had. Okay, so one of the many. He throws the switch, and what's going to happen is this device is going to just overload this material and destroy it. Is their plan? But they have to close these floodgates to keep the ocean, because the ocean floor is probably going to come in. And they need to save and keep this barricaded and locked in there. Otherwise, it's going to be the end of the fucking world, the universe, because this thing is just going to keep growing and keep growing. So there's somebody there who's like, he's treating this whole thing like it's his baby. He would rather kill everybody than have this machine destroyed. And I'm like, This motherfucker needs killing.
Nobody thought to just take this guy out of the room, to get the military guys, guards.
Get him the fuck out of there, because he sabotages it. Almost kills everybody in the entire world and universe.
Could have been the universe.
It could have
that
been.
thing kept it growing.
Yeah, that's just it. It's like, dude, are you that stupid? Yes, you are.
That was funny. But then he gets the cable cutters. Just goes up there, snips the cable. You're not snipping that cable that's holding that thing without getting your head cut off when that sucker snaps.
No, I was waiting for it. I was waiting for it.
There was way too much tension there holding that thing back. It just starts going slow. I'm like, no, this guy's dead. This is a suicide mission.
I thought so too. He made it out.
Got out. No problem. We're good.
He got out. He and his wife got the house with the picket fence. In suburbia. That was atomic family.
That's the movie, folks.
That's it. Do not bother.
But here's the funny thing. Don't bother watching the movie. But there was a good point. Like, I could see if you were going to do like this very skeleton of this movie now, you'd put it in a collider.
Yeah.
Set it in a collider. You don't have people running around. You have people at the collider trying to figure out how to do it. And they've created a black hole.
Yes.
That every 11 hours doubles in size. And it's just wreaking havoc.
There's your movie.
And then you have to figure out how to close this black hole down. Well, we got to make another black hole. What?
I'm surprised. I'm surprised this movie hasn't been done, and it probably has. Ever since the Super Collider came online, and that was the big fear. And you can't tell me they haven't done it. So I'm just saying.
Well, dude, look at this way. We were still living up in Jersey. There was a power failure that just kind of went across the entire planet at one point.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know if you remember this, but it was like a couple hours here, a couple hours there. Yeah. Everybody's internet and shit was going, and everybody's like, "Oh, nothing to see here, just the thing."
Yeah, it was some weird power grid somewhere that caused this whole
sky and the sun and the Venus
solar
coming
flares
out of the
and
swamp gas, solar flares. They blamed all this shit.
Aliens.
2 days later, in an article about 2 inches, the old lady read about the super collider had to be shut down because it super collided something and they didn't know what the fuck it was.
Interesting.
But it knocked out their system. And that's where all that shit started. It just spread. And nobody talks about it. I'm like, well, how do you not talk about that?
I do remember that. I remember thinking
fucking know about that.
I do remember when all the power went out everywhere, and it was weird.
Yes.
It was almost like we'd been hacked.
Yeah. You weren't hacked. There was a super collider, but it was only in one article about that big, like 6 pages in, under some scientific little inquiry. It's like, okay, I'm going to get weird for just a second.
Please.
It's like when people talk about climate change, right? Everybody's like, oh, climate change, it's all man's fault. Couldn't be the 2 huge fucking earthquakes that happened back in the late 90s and early 2000s that literally changed the fucking axis of the planet and how it spins. Couldn't be that. Couldn't be that at all. Don't look at the obvious. Let's not look at the fucking obvious.
No. While I do believe we do contribute, I also believe you should follow the money. And that's all I'm going to say on that.
Exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's just things that you could write a movie about, and nobody would believe you.
Yep. But there you go.
Super Collider is one of those movies. You can try to, it's a black hole. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to create black holes. It's like, we want to see what they do. Why?
Well, they'll just be microscopic.
Maybe one in the center of our galaxy started out microscopic too.
Yeah, it is still growing.
It is. They just don't think. Here, I want dinosaurs too. I want black holes and dinosaurs. I want a black hole in a dinosaur.
And that, listeners, is why we are doomed as a species.
Because scientists don't think.
They don't know when to say, maybe I shouldn't do this.
Maybe I'm the only smart guy in this room, and the guy who's paying me to do this can't do it without me.
Exactly.
Maybe I should just not do this.
Yeah. So
But this is a bad movie. We're back to the movie. It's a bad movie.
yeah,
But the bones were there. You can make it interesting now.
yeah,
You couldn't
bones.
call it the Magnetic Monsters. Oh, what a horrible name.
Yeah, I feel somebody said we got all this great atomic bomb footage.
Yeah,
Let's use it.
yeah.
And we got some plane footage, and we've got this empty building, and we got this old studio lot that we could use, and that's about
Yeah.
it. Yeah, it's I've seen worse.
Oh, yeah.
Trust me,
definitely.
there's
We've
worse.
seen a lot worse.
And
Yeah.
this is. I was going to say I made it through, but I didn't because I fell asleep.
You fell asleep.
But I came back to it, and I made it through.
I woke up. I got my rest in. I felt good.
I got my rest in. I got the stupid out of my head for a moment, and then finished the movie. And it was hard to get through. It's not super entertaining. It is annoying.
No.
It's
the narration.
I say don't even fucking bother unless you want. Unless you want to. I mean, I think there's value in watching some of these old movies, no matter if they're good or not, because you get to see what somebody created, and a lot of work goes into that. There's a lot of pieces, and so there are some gems in here. I actually thought the actors did a great job with what they were given.
Oh yeah, with what they had. The one, who was it? Somebody just came in and chewed the hell out of the scenery, man. It was, I forgot which actor it was.
Well, I thought his partner, the main character's partner.
It's a big time character actor too.
His facial expressions, his energy with everybody, and it's like, that motherfucker's good.
That guy usually did comedies.
I could see
honestly. He usually did comedies, and he usually played like the little smart sidekick, or the guy that was in the background that was the computer geek all the time. You probably see him in, for people that are our age, probably like I Dream of Jeannie and Bewitched and stuff. Oh yeah, he was a big character actor. He'd show up in movies and stuff too. Some of the beach movies,
Oh yeah.
So yeah, he just kind of one of those guys who just showed up and you just got used to seeing him. But yeah, there's a couple of actors that came in and chewed up the scenery and spit it out, or like, imagine what I could do if I had a real script kind of thing. Like I said, the thought of this thing being a black hole and redoing the script is kind of neat.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell you'd call it. The black hole monster? I don't know.
I'm not going where that could lead, but
That's all I got.
It could.
What?
Yeah, it definitely could be redone. The premise has been done with any of these monster creature science movies. It's been done to death, but it's okay as long as it's entertaining. And this was not super entertaining at all.
No, this wasn't all that entertaining.
No. So maybe next week you'll join us when we talk about the Wasp Woman, I think.
Wasp Woman,
yeah.
That's gonna be fun.
This one I think might actually turn out good. Well, we shall see.
The name alone has promise.
It does. And don't forget, after the Wasp Woman, we are taking our life in our hands and doing what we said we weren't ever going to do, was we are doing Star Wars episodes or movies, all of them, all 11.
All of them.
So
starting with episode 1.
Yep. So make sure to come in and tell us how we're wrong and everything, please. We welcome the interaction.
Yeah. We may not interact. I may not interact much back because I'm not really
social. You don't have what they call the social skills.
I mean, you see that Scott and I aren't even sitting in the same fucking room.
No, we can't stand each other. Actually, we have to live miles away.
We can't stand to be in the same room together.
No, not gonna happen.
It's too much of a bother for either one of us to drive to the other one's house to sit down. So we're not.
To be fair, it is a little distance, and we work.
Dude, you live next door.
I would believe that. If we lived next door, we probably would be still on this fucking Zoom.
We'd probably still be doing this.
It's easier. I don't want to have to put on pants. I can sit here in my underwear.
What do you mean I got to leave my house?
Fuck man.
All right, man. Yeah,
wait, I do have pants on for those who know.
Good, thank God. I know what you want to see.
It's that kind of show. Anyway, so
when did we go there?
Wasp Woman next week, and then on to Star Wars. Thanks again, everybody, for tuning in, and we appreciate all our new listeners. Please drop us a line, give a review, send us an email. instant message, anything, just interact with us. We don't bite too much.
Don't forget to hit the like, the share, the follow. Following is
subscribe.
very important, evidently,
Yes.
on YouTube. The following and subscribing, because we're hard to find. You're not gonna just we're probably not gonna just pop up in your feed somewhere. So go ahead and give us a follow.
Yep. So cool. Catch y'all next week.
All right. Have a good one, folks. Cheers.